This year's recipient, Jim Powers, reflects the characteristics that this award embodies. Sam Wegner Award: character, integrity, and loyalty. As stated in the award criteria, that our recipient has contributed to the welfare of young people, as a teacher and coach, and has personified those ideas that are part of Sam Wegner's life. Sam dedicated himself to the high principles and standards of personal conduct, which created an influence on all those he came in contact with. Again, there's a biographical sketch of Sam in your program with more information. If you ever want to see a photo of Sam, which I hadn't seen in a long time, we do have one up here at the table. There's a photo of Sam. Jim Powers has truly lived his life as a teacher, coach, administrator, not only in the South Bend Community Schools, but also the Elkhart Community School Corporation, that Sam Wegner would have appreciated. My first contact with Coach was in 1956-57 when I watched him work with Elmer McCall as an assistant coach on the undefeated South Bend Central Bears State Championship basketball team. After the following year, Coach McCall went on to DePaul University to coach. Jim became Central's head coach in 1958-59. But his Central connections go way back. He graduated from South Bend Central High School during the war of 1943, where he played for the legendary coach John Wooden. After his high school graduation, he joined the military service during the Second World War, serving as a radio operator on a B-24 bomber based out of Italy. So he is truly a member of the greatest generation. Jim, thank you for your service to our country. His son Jeff is here, and I know was about a year ago, they got to go on one of those honor trips to Washington, D.C., and got to see the memorial in D.C., and they treated those guys like true heroes, as they are. After the war, he enrolled at Indiana State University, where he rejoined his former South Bend Central athletes under his former coach, John Wooden, who had taken the job after he came back from the service. Coach Wooden was the Indiana State basketball coach for a couple of years before he went on to bigger and better things out at UCLA. But Jim graduated in 1950, returned to South Bend to teach and coach. He was, as I mentioned earlier, he was an assistant coach under Coach McCall at Central during the two state championship runs in 53 and 57. When Elmer resigned again to coach at DePaul University, then Jim was awarded the head coaching position. His 11-year career from 1958-59 season through 68-69 at Central produced a 174-94 record, 6 sectional titles, which is still the highest number of sectional championships won by a South Bend basketball coach. If Mark Johnson would have had a little luck this year, Mark would have joined Jim at that level. But in 1968-69, he left South Bend when it was announced that Central would close as a high school, landing then at Rochester High School, where he stayed 3 years, winning 2 sectional championship titles. When Elkhart Memorial opened up in 72-73 as the second high school in Elkhart, he went there as its head coach, won a sectional and regional title with his 2 sons playing for him in Elkhart. In 76-77, he became Memorial's athletic director for a period of 10 years before retiring in 1986. I know he was at Central. He was my health teacher. And I think Dave Dunlap, you're here. He was your tennis coach, I believe, at Central High School as well. So he coached a few other things besides the basketball position. He was inducted into the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame in 1993 as a player and coach. Served on its board of directors representing Northern Indiana. Currently still serving as the director emeritus. In retirement, he and his wife Marilyn moved back to South Bend from Elkhart. And only recently, in the past year or so, they've moved into a retirement village in Zionsville, Indiana, to be closer to 2 of their sons in Indianapolis. Jim was quite instrumental in getting the South Bend Kiwanis Club to name their grand award winner several years ago after Nell and John Wooden a few years ago, and that's still a great honor, I think, for the family. Jim was instrumental in getting that organized. I present to you the 2017 Sam Wegner Award recipient, Mr. Jim Powers. And Jim, because he is 92 and he's recovering from a broken hip replacement, he's going to give a short speech here sitting down. So please allow him to do that. Jim.
Appreciate that, and to be with all of you people today is just absolutely wonderful. My two companions have brought me down today. You know, it's a long trip, three-hour trip, and first of all, I want to recognize my wife, Marilyn, 62 years. Love her, and I can't say how much I appreciate what she's done for me through the years. And my son Jeffrey, he has been the rock of Gibraltar for me for the last 2 years since I moved to Indianapolis, and of course when he found out I was going to get this award, he volunteered right away to drive me here. I'd like to say one thing about Jeff is that he married very well. He is married to Mary Stevenson. Most all of you have known, Rob Stevenson through the years. And Ross, of course, was my most wonderful friend through all those years that I'm talking about at Central High School. And so, of course, I remember when Ross got into the award a few years ago. I have such tremendous respect for Ross, as I do with almost all of the people that have been recognized through the years with that Sam Wegner Award. It is just absolutely fabulous. As I said from the beginning, I don't think that I will go on a great deal more about Central High School, but I'm sure you realize that it's been 47 years ago where they closed the doors and tore my heart out. I would have stayed at South Bend Central or South Bend forever had it not been for the fact that they decided to make that decision to close Central. So I just hope that you all remember for many years to come the place that Central High School played in South Bend Community School Corporation. I say 3 cheers for Central High School. Thank you.
The great pictures of Jim Powers. I don't know if you remember, we did that 100 years of South Bend basketball several years ago. We had it was before an Adams Clay game, I think, that night at Hadaway Shack, and Jim Powers you could just talk to him. You could hear the passion he had for South Bend Central and the great story. And I think we're going to try to ask him to tell the story a little bit later on after dinner. If I remember this story right, when they used to play at South Bend Central really didn't have a gym in the school because it's now an apartment complex in downtown. They didn't have a gym to practice playing. They played their games at Adams and they practiced at Adams. Well, guess what? They had to get back to from Adams to Central for their first hour class. And, of course, there was a hot dog store downtown. Don't remember the name of it. And John Wooden would always tell his players, because he would go back and teach at Central as well. He had a first hour English class. I expect to see all of you in class. Do not stop at the hot dog stand on your way to go back to school. So just some of the great memories. And, Jim very involved in and obviously all the different schools give out Kiwanis Awards at the end of the year to the student athletes in memory of John and his wife. And it's just great to see Jim back here, 92 years young. You talk about longevity, yeah, obviously he's ailing a little bit on the physical side, but he still has all these great memories and all this great passion. You look at all the people in the room. You've got Nan Tolchinsky, longtime athletic director, at LaSalle. You've got Bob Berger, the longtime Wiley basketball coach, who's doing some things still within the media, has worked for us, works for a local radio station as well, giving back to kids.
Coach DeBates, I seen
Coach DeBates is here tonight. Of course, Mark Johnson, who we're going to try to talk to as well. Mark, unfortunately, has retired. He's finally done coaching, but with the impact he's had on kids, and I think it's really important that, a lot of people only look at X's and O's. They look at wins and losses, and they don't see that inner layer when you get together in a setting like this, or what goes on off the court and all that kind of stuff, and how important that is. You've got to.
I don't think South Bend knew whether I'd be a good English teacher or not. They hoped from my background I could maybe be a pretty good basketball, baseball coach. I wanted to be the best English teacher.
He was the athletic director, and he coached basketball and baseball, and then he was an English teacher. And he was a very good English teacher, and he's a good poet. If you've ever noticed his penmanship, it's beautiful. And he was very well read. I thought I was talking to Abraham Lincoln when I was talking to Wooden.
I ran across a couple of things that made an impression on me. One of them is no written word, no oral plea can teach our youth what they should be, nor all the books on all the shelves. It's what the teachers are themselves. That made an impression on me.
We used to scrimmage together, and he was a heck of a ball player. I used to have to guard him and shoot, he'd knock me down, but it was respect.
I saw a man who knew the game of basketball, and everything depended on quickness.
He wanted you to perform to the best of your ability. And he really could not accept anything less than that.
There's a big difference between, why did you do it that way, rather than, let me show you how to do it. Coach Wooden could show you how to do it.
I was about 5'8" and the smallest individual on the Central High School basketball team. He gave me confidence by saying to me, you come out to practice tonight. So that's what I did. I started practicing.
We traveled with the team by car to away games, and when my brother Jim was born, he was with us as well. And it was just, that was our life. We didn't know anything else, and it was great.
I'd always try to get in the back seat of Mr. Wooden's car, because Mrs. Wooden would be on the trip and she'd sit next to him. That's why I always liked to ride with him, because you could see the love, and it helped me.
She was the nicest thing that happened to him.